ودي أموت اليوم وأعيش باكر، وأشوف منه بعد موتي فقدني، وإنه حملني لين ذيك المقابر، وأشكر أنا كل من كرمني ودفني، وبشوف يرثيني أنا كم مشاعر، ومنه تركني وما كتب شي عني، شخص تعنى لي معناه مسافر، وشخص قريب وانا ميت طعني، وشخص يمثل دمعته ما هو قادر، وشخص تطيح دموع كل ما ذكرني، ومنه من أهلي في العزا كان حاضر، منه دعا لي في صلاته ورحمني، منه بنى باسمي سبيل ومنابر، منه يفز قلبه إلى منه لمحني، ومنه عشاني طول الأيام ساهر، ومنه 3 أيام راح وتركني، ومنه يرتب غرفتي والدفاتر، وإن شاف صورة لي صاح وحضني، يا الله عسى ما توفى كل المشاعر، يا الله عسى ما ينصدم يوم ظني، خايف يروح العمر وأكون خاسر، وإن طار طيري ما يفيد التمني، وخايف يجيني وقت أكسب خاطر، إن دارت الدنيا وزماني كسرني، وما دام هذه الدنيا صارت مظاهر، كل على كيفه وجواه يغني، الضيق وافي والحزن حيل وافر، والجرح أكثر شي شفته يحبني، عايش وميت بين ماضي وحاضر، والصبر بمفتاح الفرج ضاع مني، قل ويش تبي تتركني يا حزني آمر، مسكين فرحي تصدق انه وحشني، شاعر ولكني ماني بشاعر، ودي أموت اليوم وارتاح مني، شاعر ولكني ماني بشاعر، ودي أموت اليوم وارتاح مني.
Look what's happening today inside our society. You speak to a Muslim, you remind them about Allah, everybody says, no, Allah will forgive me, Allah will pardon me, Allah knows what good deeds I do. You don't even pray, and you're talking about the good things that you do. And you're a person who cheats Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no point in saying, I don't cheat against people, I don't lie towards people, I don't commit anything wrong in my life. The biggest sin, the biggest crime, after shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to disobey Him. Is to disobey Him, leaving the prayer. That's what we find inside this ayah. قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. A person who abandons the prayer is heading towards Jahannam. We don't live in a Muslim environment, but you know, in a Muslim country, whoever leaves as-salah, فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. That person has committed disbelief. If you live in a Muslim environment, because we don't live in a Muslim environment, many people haven't been taught, praying isn't to do with somebody who's religious, who keeps a beard, who goes to the mosque, or is an elderly person, who comes at the age of 50, 60. As-salah is for every single Muslim. Every single Muslim has to pray 5 times a day when they get to the age of puberty, and they haven't lost their senses, they have the ability to comprehend and to understand, and their good health and state, they have to offer their prayers. As for many of our people in our society, we begin to think that salah is a cultural practice. That people, when you get to a certain age or when you have the time, you have the space, you begin to offer your prayers. No. So this is the first blame upon these individuals. They've been thrown inside Jahannam because they never used to offer their prayers. Then second, we find they never used to do what? Feed the poor people. So some of us, we may pray, but when it comes to taking care of the orphans, taking care of other people, we become selfish. We become selfish. That's why we find a lot of the reason for poverty inside our society and the Muslim world at the moment is out of selfishness. If there was no zakah, many of us wouldn't really care. And even some of us, when it comes to zakah, we don't really want to pay it, we don't really want to give it, or we make excuses, or whatever it may be, we transfer the money to another account, or whatever it may be, playing these games with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or our transactions, you can begin to see how many of our transactions that are dealing are when it comes to money. Many of us are very religious when it comes to the masjid. When it comes to what's outside in the world, what's known as fiqhul mu'amala, about business transactions and working outside in society, what do we begin to understand then? We leave Islam then. We deal in riba, we deal in interest, we deal in haram. We do haram, we say, because we're living in the West, we have to earn a living. Who says that you have to do that? Who says you have to sell alcohol? Who said that? Who said you have to sell alcohol to get by? You can become a street cleaner, you can wash windows. Who's forcing you to sell alcohol? And some people, they don't want to address these topics because unfortunately, some of our masjids, unfortunately, are funded by people who deal in haram and then give their money to the masjid, so the masjid will keep a lid on it. Be silent about it. Don't say anything about anybody because these people might get upset. Because many of our Muslims, unfortunately, their risk is from haram sources, unfortunately. Because the things that they do, they begin to think that as long as I read my salah, I come for Yawmul Jum'ah, I throw maybe 10, 15 pounds inside the bucket, so the Imam has no right to ask me about how I live my life, whether I'm doing halal, whether I'm doing haram, etc. So this is all dangerous, a dangerous belief, that to separate your religious belief from your external belief. When you come out in the wider society, you still try to enforce the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the best of your ability.
This question was asked also by one of your other writers. I can't find a balance between this world and the next, dunya and akhirat. I said there is no struggle. Everything we do in this world is for the akhirah if your intention is right. If you're going to work for the right reasons, if you're staying away from evil deeds, if you're remembering Allah when you're supposed to, if you're eating what you're supposed to eat, if you're saying what you're supposed to say, you can live in this world and have a great time and still earn your Jannah. Allah doesn't want you to have a horrible time in this world. I don't know why we have this concept that we have to kind of cut ourselves off from this world to earn Jannah. No. You have to make the most of this world to earn Jannah. We have very little time on this earth. I mean, half of my life is spent sleeping, and the few hours that I'm awake take away the time I have to relieve myself, get dressed for work, stay in commute to the job, put in the 8 hours at work, and come back. What do I have, 2-3 hours of free time, technically free time, that I actually have some control over? How about I make the most of that free time? That could change my life. Those few hours that you have free after work, or that commute to work instead of listening to useless news, about the weather and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. How about you listen to something productive in that time? Listen to some Quran, listen to something that will increase your knowledge. Listen to a good discussion that will help you understand things better. Memorize du'as at that time. Do something more productive. And in your free time, do good things. Make a routine out of going to the masjid regularly. Every Isha, you catch every Isha. Before you start your work day, you catch every Fajr in the masjid. Add some small good routines in your life, and how much good will come out of your life is amazing. Another of your listeners asked, how can I improve my character? Step 1, do no harm. Stop doing bad things. Don't talk about adding good deeds until you get rid of bad deeds. You know, you can't talk about giving a patient medicine until you stop the bleeding first. It doesn't make any sense, you know. So you got to stop the entertainment addiction. You got to stop the watching the filth. You got to stop. You got to start lowering your eyes when you're walking down the street, because you're becoming less of a human every time you stare at a woman and you stare at her like she's a piece of meat, like she's an animal. That just means you've lost respect for a fellow human being. That's all that means. To you, that's nothing but you're looking at her like an ape looks at a female ape. You know, like a dog looks at a female dog. That's all you've turned into, an animal. Regain your humanity first, and then embellish, beautify your life with good deeds. Do simple, small things. Perfect your prayer, memorize a few supplications, try to, be honest in your workplace, be kind to your mother. These are not complicated things.
This is what the Creator wants from us.
That's all He wants.
But if someone says, why? Why does He want this from me? What is it? Is this benefiting Him?
That's a great question. Everything Allah wants from us, one of His names is Al-Ghani. Ghani means someone who doesn't need anything. And He told us that in an ayah in which He basically told us to do certain things, and He said, Al-Ghani, and He's free of need. وَأَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاء, you're the ones that are bankrupt. Now, in that ayah, He doesn't need anything, and we need everything, because we're bankrupt. And then He told us to do a few good deeds. And if you do a few good deeds, He will make you ghani. He'll make you free of need. He'll shower you with blessings. Not only are good deeds beneficial to us because they in and of themselves are like medicine, but they bring with them bonuses in this world and the next world.
وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن يهدينا به للصالحات وللمكارم والتقى نور على مر الزمان تألقا وأضاء للدنيا